Hello and welcome back to Data News of the Week. That's right, this is the series where we talk about all the different data related stories that happen in the week that I can't cram into all the other videos, and I've got some good stories for you today, some really weird ones as well. First one I'm going to talk about, of course, you've heard about the Steam Deck, the kind of PC Master Race alternative to the Nintendo Switch. Of course you know about it, that's not the story, but what you might not know is they've actually talked a lot about the specs and the fact that it arrives with M2 NVMe SSDs inside, which by the looks of things can be upgraded, which is going to be really good news given that the biggest capacity model at launch is going to be 512GB and the system arrives at $649. So the ability to upgrade that SSD is going to be very, very good to hear. It takes advantage of M2 PCIe Gen 3 x4 as a slot inside. It's a single slot, but a bunch of people from tech designers to Gabe Newell himself have made it abundantly clear that although the system does have an M2 slot, they do not advise people upgrade it. It may invalidate any warranty or support, and in their own words, it is not intended for end user replacement, which is a real shame. And I really, really hope the people that got that GIF on screen, you carry on watching, because you are very much my people. Next up, it wouldn't be Data News of the Week without a horrible Chia story. It is the subject that just will not go away. And companies like PNY are really sticking the boot in there with the release of 2 new SSDs. Precisely aimed at Chia miners. They're one of the first brands out there that would just drop all the facade and just go, right, we've released this just for the Chia guys more than anything. These are high durability drives, although that is a bit questionable, as you'll find out. This is the LX330 and LX2030 range of SSDs. These are made for Chia plotting, and these are high durability drives which have a performance threshold of 3,200 megabytes per second read and quite a paltry 1,000 to 2,500 megabytes per second write. It's pretty disappointing. The 2TB has a rating of terabytes written at 54,000, which is pretty good there. But again, once you dig a little deeper into some of the specification sheets, not only do these spec sheets loudly proclaim Chia plotting and Chia logos all over the place, but on top of that, they also talk about the warranty at 6 months, 1 year, and 2 years. And anyone that knows about SSDs knows that they are pretty pants as a warranty period. So they can talk about durability as much as they want. And of course, these drives are going to be heavy sustained activity all the time. But nonetheless, that is pretty crappy for an SSD support period in terms of warranty. And I think that does throw a lot of shade onto the viability and suitability of these drives in anything other than Chia plotting. And even then, meh. Next up, a QNAP NAS story that, although it isn't really new, I will say it has developed a little bit more since we first spoke about it. The TVS-675 is a very unique 6-bay NAS that originally I didn't think was going to make it out of China. A number of the solutions that I don't talk about here on the channel will often be the case because they are restricted to a given area and their distribution is so small that to talk about it here on the channel, no one really knows about it. And originally the 675 I didn't think was going to make it out of China, but this one actually is. It's going to be available in the UK, Europe, America, the rest of it. And it takes advantage of a very unique China-based CPU. And again, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. The Zhaoyin Kai, and that's right, I'm looking at my notes. The Zhaoyin Kaiaxian, and I'm sure I've butchered that, is an 8-core processor, and this system arriving with 8GB of memory that can be upgraded to 64. Lovely to see. And in a 6-bay that's got PCI upgradability, a couple of PCI Gen 3 x4 PCIe slots, pretty good. It's got M2 slots as well, 2 of them inside. They are PCIe Gen 3 x1, which is a bit disappointing, 1000 megs each slot. But it does have an HDMI out, it has embedded graphics, and this CPU, rather affordable I have to say, does kind of really shake up the SMB range from QNAP, and we're quite used to them going down the Intel route. We kind of went, yep, they're going AMD, and then suddenly we've got this new CPU which is almost certainly going to divulge into other growing series from it based on its popularity. And again, we will be talking about it here on the channel very, very soon. I hope to get one in the studio and run it through its paces. Next up, we've kind of got a lousy hard drive story. There is another potential shortage on the way. It's definitely not confirmed. This is kind of speculative, but I don't know how many people are aware of this. Over in Thailand, they have gone into another lockdown. It kicked in on July 12th, and this lockdown is quite close to and involves a lot of the workers of local hard drive manufacturing plants that are utilised by the likes of WD and Seagate. And there is a lot of predictions floating around at the moment that this may lead to further hard drive shortages down the line. Now, of course, there's been semiconductor shortages, there's been Chia, there's been trade wars, there's been pandemic, there's been everything. Buying a large capacity hard drive right now has never been harder, and then this comes along on the horizon. But again, this isn't fully concrete, and a lot of the regions that are under lockdown, although the workers live in a lot of the major city centres and a lot of the manufacturing plants are a little bit more on the outskirts, it's still unknown at this point just what the impact of this is going to be, and I really hope this isn't going to make hard drives even harder right now to get, because I've got to put something inside these. And finally, another story coming out from the East, this time in Japan, involving the NICT. What does that acronym mean? The National Institute of Information and Communication Technology. Yes, I read it off my notes. They have broken the internet world record speeds, this time with 319 terabytes a second. What? I mean, let's be realistic there. That is an insane performance speed. It was carried over a distance of just over 3,000 kilometers, point to point. And what does that mean in real terms? Well, we're used to measuring things in gigabits and stuff like that. Every time we buy an internet connection or go to an ISP and say, I want 12 months worth, they give you the speed in gigabits. So how does that translate realistically into 319 terabytes a second? That is reported that over 57,000 movies could be transferred, feature-length movies, 90 minutes, in 1 second. It would take the entirety of Spotify, would just take 3 seconds to download. And as for Netflix, something I thought would be absolutely massive, Netflix is made up of about 15,000 feature presentations, and again, that's less than a second. You've got Netflix. This is one of the few times, and of course this isn't commercially available, this is one of the few times I have looked at some sort of internet-based connection and gone, do you know what? That might actually be better than NAS down the line. But we'll have to wait and see. But this has been Data News of the Week. And again, there are always stories developing. If you hear any, you see any, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.